All right, structured query language injection. So back again, my name is Justin. Okay, we're going over structured query language, particularly structured query language injection to expose vulnerabilities and then used for pen testing and ethical hacking. Okay, so this is to show my employer, all right, or my client that I'm familiar with structured query language injection and I'm familiar with the fundamentals as well as some advanced practices of it. Okay, so this is just a simple exercise. We're going to use structured query language injection to get a password and get further into a database. Okay, in particular, relational database with a relational table. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to check and see if we'll get an error with certain structured query language commands. Okay, now in this case, you see here we have the parameter which is ID. And with that parameter, I'm switching to query. So we have the article directory, we have the query signified by the question mark, okay? ID is a parameter, and within that parameter, this is the item, okay? So to check to see if this is even vulnerable or that we can exploit it and see if there's some vulnerability for the given website, we're going to use first command, so we can get more than one item from the structured query table. We're going to try union, and we're going to select first item from the table. Okay. Now, so you can see right here that we get back structured query language state. Okay. All right. Violation is 1222. All right. And recognize that we use select statements have a different number of columns. Okay. So because they have a different number of columns, we just can't go in and actually just put in union, meaning we can't just get more than one item. Okay. That means we can get more than one item from the table. All right. So now with that said, we're going to go a little step further. Okay, so we have different columns. You can see here column 1 right here. So now it says statement. Now we're going to go forward from that statement. So now we're going to try to add another column. So now we're going to do this. We're going to do comma, meaning that we can go more than one. We're going to do column 2. Let's try that. All right. So same thing, different number of columns. All right, same error. So let's try another column. Okay, the whole thing that we're trying to do is get Martin's password. Okay, now depending on what we do, we could bypass that, right? And if it's vulnerable, we could just put where username equals admin, depending on how they have the website structured. And then along with admin, we can also have that the password or the admin equals, username equals admin. We're going to put in the command or apostrophe 1, apostrophe equals apostrophe 1 equals 1, right? And then we have a semicolon after that, which means the structured query language or the query that we're trying to put in is ended. That's it. Okay, we could just easily bypass that, but we're going to go through the steps. All right, so now I'm going to go add another column since we got another for the same error. All right. Okay, now if you notice here, okay, we didn't get no type of error. Okay, it says, welcome to my very first article from my new website. Okay, so the user is Martin. This is website. I don't know what the host is, but just pretend it's real life. Okay, so we did get some type of error. So now the error message is gone. The error message is gone. Excuse me, we didn't get an error. The error message is gone. So that shows that we can't exploit it. Okay, the article is being displayed. Okay, says my new website. All right, but we also want to display the data instead, which means it's an in-band. So the query that we put in, we also want to give the information that we're querying, trying to get, we'll also be able to show it on the same page. That's what in-band means. So that's what we're trying to get. All right. So instead on the article, okay, the article is displayed, but at the same time, we want to return a result somewhere on the website's code, and we want to be able to show that. So we got to get around that. So now, in order for us to do that, instead of being private, we're going to put in 0 and make it public. Okay. So now you can see here, this is the article ID number. It's 1. Okay. And then I assume this is the column right here, column 3. Okay. So we got some values returned. Like I just said, we got 2, Article ID is 1, so that's the identification of the article that we queried. Okay, and I'm assuming this is the article column number right here, 3. So now that we got a database name, so now I want to go to a specific database. Now I'm going to change it. And then with the parentheses, it's like calling a function. Like those people, those of you that know about programming, it's like calling an item either within a function or calling an item within a certain file. Right? You're calling it. That's what the parentheses are for. So now we're going to try that. Okay. So now we got structured kernel language injection underscore 1. Okay. So instead of having 3 there with that column, now we'll see that we have the name in the database. And this is the name of the database right here. Structured query language injection underscore 1. Okay. So then we got one query. So now our next query is we want to get the list of tables that are in this database. So let's go for that. So this is where it gets kind of finicky. Okay, so we have a group, Tryhackme, and get the name of the relational table. Okay, so remember the table is where all the data is going to be kept. Okay, you can have tables for staff, tables for passwords, tables for the users, tables for different information like the location, the date, different things like that. Okay, so we want to query what the table name is. We're filling out argument, and then now we're going to call where we're going to get it from. So we want to get the information. And get the information from the tables. Okay, where's the information coming from? It's going to be scheme of the table. Okay, or excuse me, to be more specific, it's going to be where the table is from the search query language injection 1 database. So we get information from the table and the name of that database that has that table. It's search query language injection 1, SQLi. Okay, so we're going to put equals because this is what we want the where the tables come from. We want to equal this. Okay, send it to programming. Okay. There we go. SQLi. Okay, we're going to put that in. Alright, so we got a syntax here. Alright, so it says to collect command denied to the user. So now we got to bypass that. Notice the localhost we're getting from the host. Okay, it's coming from the localhost of the computer that actually hosts and has all this information. Alright. So some things we got from this is that the method group gets us to specify a column, in our case, the table name, right? That's the column I'm looking for, the name of the table. Okay? And then we also have the information. So now we're going to move it up even further. Okay? Now we want to discover Martin's password because obviously his username is going to be somewhere in this table. We got denied that. So now we got to dig a little further. Okay? So if we get to the table, in the table where it's going to hold the staff users. Obviously, Martin's going to be the staff user. You can see right here. Martin's name is going to be on staff that has information within the blog or article. So now we're going to simply call information from a specific column in the table. Okay, staff users. So staff users is going to be one of the columns in the table. So now we're going to simply get access to that. Structured query language injection. And even though structured query language injection is an old technique, it can be one of the most damaging because of the coding. Okay. Alright, so unfortunately we didn't get that either. Okay, so it's been changed. Name has been changed. Okay, so it's been changed from the column name. So it's been changed to the columns. So we'll search for the table name and divide that by 7. So now we're going to come with something else. So now we're going to try this. So let's go back. Because it's been changed, we got to switch up a little bit. password, separate it. Agree with it. Okay, then we're going to see the information from the staff users. Let me change it up because the column name has been changed. So let's see if that makes sense. Yeah, remember, I'll put this should be a semicolon because we're ending the code when we do that. So we show that. Okay. And then this right here, this tag, which is HTML kind of code, okay, it forces the result to be on a separate line. So that way if we get it, then it'll be easier to read. So if we were to look at the source page, let's say for instance we right click and look at the view page source with this HTML command, instead of just continuing on one continuous line, it would break it up and put it on the second line. So let's into that, see what we get. Alright, there we go. We're in. So we got the password. Okay. So if you notice here, the administrator's password is right here. We also got Martin's password, right? Because this username is within the staff of users, and in particular, okay, his password within the staff users column is that one. Jim, if we had to do another person, Jim's password would be that right there. So we got access to the table, and then within the table, we got to the specific column that has Martin's name because he's one of the staff users, and we got his password. Okay, so let's put that in. And check the password. All right, and we got the flag. Nice. We got the flag. Okay, so that's just an example of using structured query language injection for my employer or any client that would be hired by to do work for. Okay, for ethical hacking and penetration testing using structured query language injection. All those is a basic fundamental exercise. You can get very technical with this, and even though structured query language injection is kind of old method technique, it can be very damaging. Thanks for watching.